Today, I got a model of a Major General, but I just haven't had a chance to put it together yet. This is ChillPoint.
Always thin your paints before you paint your modern, your model Major General.
See, the problem is, I got the Major General, and then, of course, I find out that there's now the modern Major General that has incompatible parts.
Right. It uses new edition rules. My old one was only knew about animal and vegetable. But now
mineral.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint. Today, we are sans Heather and Beige, but we are plus Graham.
Hello.
Whether you consider that an improvement is up to you.
It's definitely fewer people, so
it's true.
It is okay if you consider this a downgrade. I will try to make it as neutral a transition as possible.
So welcome to ChillPoint, the show where we talk about the week's video game news, as well as the episode of Checkpoint that just went up yesterday, and other things that didn't make it into that episode, or random tangents that have come to us as we're going.
Oh, good. I'm glad we've established that that's likely to happen.
So, to start with, let's talk about the episode of Checkpoint, which started with a story that Cameron wrote about X/Twitter.
I've literally never referred to it as X except for the lead of that story.
It's my favorite thing about it is that every single time I have ever seen it in any article, it is X, formerly known as Twitter, which I know must really annoy Elon.
Yeah. Well, because it's impossible to write articles about it just referring to it as X.
Just from like a typographical standpoint, it's annoying.
It is an object on every metric except, I guess, cool. It's an objectively terrible thing to name a company.
Yeah, than like URL length, I guess.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I have never actually gone to x.com. I always go to Twitter and then it redirects me.
Yeah, and they had such cool branding. They had so much integration and market penetration and like mental, like, oh, it's Twitter, it's tweets, the blue bird, it's like you see an at and someone's name with the blue, and it's like, oh, that's Twitter, and he ruined it all.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cameron wrote this story about sort of Twitter hiding likes and the which we would have done anyway, but as it happens, it tied into how the Switch has now removed their Twitter integration.
Right, which is sort of like a more bigger deal than it initially seems. It's like, oh, whatever, the tweeting your high scores you can't do anymore. Who cares? But no, because like a lot of games, apparently like Twitter was like the only way to actually get data out of the game.
I don't know how you're supposed to get a screenshot off of the Switch now, because as far as I'm aware, it used to be you had to tweet it. Like, I literally don't know how to.
Like Splatoon has a graffiti thing, which apparently just like doesn't work anymore. Now it only does like the whatever preset.
Because you had to log into Twitter to do it.
It's weird.
Yeah. There's a and the Switch was also the last of the console. I didn't know this, but the Switch was the last of the three major consoles to remove their inbuilt Twitter integration. You were integrated into the system for the PlayStation and the Xbox and the Switch, and you fucked it, you idiot.
Even friggin' like Apple
Yeah.
Doesn't integrate with any third parties. And they had like a special tweet thing that they built into iOS.
Yeah.
Nope.
Baffling. So yeah, as I said in the story, the little bit that I added, because you know how Nintendo is, that someone, presumably at Nintendo of America, had to fight to get Nintendo to put that integration on the Switch originally.
Third-party integrate, even more so than Apple. Third-party integration is not a thing that Nintendo enjoys.
Yeah, and if that person is still there, that they got to be like, look, I'm really sorry.
And and so that's this idea that people's liked posts, Elon felt that people were being unfairly ridiculed or targeted because of their liked posts.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's not so now you can't tell either you can't tell both what post somebody has liked, and also it's, I guess, what post somebody has liked, and the opposite way, who has liked somebody's posts.
Yes.
Both directions
can see,
of the transaction.
You can see if someone likes your posts.
You can.
I believe so.
Okay.
And you get to know who, but it's private between you, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
I think because otherwise they're useless.
Otherwise, it's just like for your own benefit.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're actually totally vestigial.
I mean, that's like, I know I'm like doing this wrong by how YouTube uses its system, but like I use likes on YouTube as my like save this for later.
Yeah.
Which is not what you're supposed to just like whatever you like. But and so like my list of likes is not just anything I liked, it's things that I like specifically want to save.
Mm-hmm.
So in that context, I can see like, I'm going to like this post just so I have it for later. I don't care that anybody else knows. I don't want anybody else to know about it.
A like on Twitter also used to be like a soft retweet, because people would see like a notification using the normal client. People would see like so-and-so liked this post. So for years, I never used the default client. I only ever used Tweetbot,
right,
which doesn't have that horrendous notification feed, or you don't have to look at it. So I never did it. And so I just, for years, for like the first 7-8 years I used Twitter, I just never liked posts because I didn't need to, right? And then I learned that people actually, that they're relevant for people who are using the default app, which is the most common way to use it. And sort of, as a citizen of that public square, I started to use likes more so that it would like help the people who made the post that I enjoyed, right? To be like, here's your algorithmic what's it. Hopefully more people will see that. But now I guess it's useless. I don't know.
So I love the way, like, as somebody who, is not on Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I interact with Twitter, especially for doing checkpoint stories and stuff. But I don't have a Twitter account, and I don't post stuff. But I love the way, and obviously it's changed over since Elon took over and stuff. But the whole thing with Twitter, the very short little messages, and there's not very many ways to interact with the message. Like, you can retweet, you can like. I love the way that there are so many, like, even with those few tools, so many like subtle nuances of like, you liking a post, is like a soft retweet, and there's retweeting, and then there's like subtweeting, which is, talking about somebody, but not, or there's like the like dot at, like there's the like adding somebody, but not doing it properly so that they don't get notified about it. And there's like all these like interesting little subtle etiquette or ways of doing things.
You put something in front of the @ so that all your followers see that you're atting this person rather than it it only being visible by common followers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What's interesting is that now likes function the same as a fave or like, I guess, on Mastodon, which is it does. So asterisk, and I'm going to come back to this. It doesn't do anything, right? You can't see other people's faves. It's really just a way to go, I liked it. And the person going it can go, oh, look, people liked my post. And it's the person who made the post. Like other people can see, oh, this post was liked X number of times. That's it. That's all it does. And the person who made the post can go like, oh, these people liked my post. That's nice. That's it. Because there's no
people who didn't make the post can't see who liked it. They can just see the number. Right?
I don't believe that they can see who, like, at least certainly my app has no way of doing that. But because Mastodon has no algorithm,
right?
That's fine.
Although
but Twitter is still using these likes to tailor their For You feed.
Right. Mastodon has like the boosting thing.
Yeah, that's like a retweet.
Right. Right. So that's not messing with the algorithm. That's sort of sending it to your people.
Yeah, because there's no algorithm.
Right.
So there's nothing to game. There's no algorithmic.
Right. And I mean, knowing
what's it, which I love.
Knowing all the stuff that we've seen in the past about, especially since Elon took over in terms of technology updates on Twitter being implemented in, shall we say, a slapdash kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
A way that I fully expect there to be somebody will figure out, like, either through like the Twitter API or through like looking, seeing like the traffic that's going between the servers, there's going to be some public way, some way that likes get exposed.
But there still is. You can just go to someone's username /likes.
Oh, and you can just see them?
Yeah.
Oh. So wait.
Yeah.
They just got rid of the link to the page, not the actual page.
And the UI, yeah. You can still just go there.
All right.
Cool.
Cool.
As you say, very slapdash. Presumably that one will get buttoned up soon, but it's
the page is gone. Yeah, the button is gone, and yet the page remains.
Yeah.
And right, of course, if you've got an old client, it probably still works.
It's so
anyway.
Yeah.
So now it's one of those things. That's one of those interesting topics that is like only peripherally video game related, and yet, as we talk about with the Nintendo thing, it does kind of have claws into all sorts of areas of any kind of sort of technology enterprise. So
yeah, apparently the Splatoon graffiti thing is actually like less functional now.
Yeah.
Someone was saying, hang on, I'm just going to...
Yeah, you can just, like, you used to...
There was a post in the Discord
about it. Like, custom stuff anymore. You can just use the, like, built-in things now.
1 second. This thread got long because I posted the full lyrics. Here we go. Captain Spam notes. The part with Twitter integration on the Switch going away affects Splatoon 2 and 3 in that in-game graffiti feature required you to either have Twitter or Facebook account to post them. Nintendo dumping Twitter has the side effect of Splatoon 3 players no longer needing any social media account to post graffiti. So the recent mood of graffiti posts has been unkind to Elon, to put it nicely. Splatoon 2 loses all player-created graffiti support, falling back to the baked-in images that appear if you turn off the feature.
Great.
So they were both here, and then 3 went yay, and 2 went boo.
Yeah. I was gonna say, maybe having that built-in... Having that function be dependent on Twitter might have been a bad idea in the first place. But anyway, all right, let's move on.
Yeah.
To Kathleen being very excited about Metaphor: Refantasio.
What a name!
Yeah,
I love how much. There was a lot of people in the YouTube comments, at least, hard agreeing with Kathleen about the spell names because they're trying to pretend like it's not it's not Mega 10.
Right.
So it's different. But they had like some of the support spells had the same name. And as Kathleen pointed out in the after show, or actually I think this made the cut, that like the first the first like creature that you meet in the game is Pixie, just like all the Megaten and Persona games.
Right.
And it's like, so why change the magic
And it's like
names?
it's still, lightning or whatever.
Yeah.
It still is like doing the same, accomplishing the same thing that a lightning spell normally would. It does more damage against certain types of creatures and not certain. Like it fulfills the same thing as the lightning spell. And like changing the name. I mean, one would argue changing the name from lightning in the first place was already already being a little silly.
I don't know where they pulled all the original names from.
But at
like
least
Bufu
they could change it to. They could be consistent about what they change it to. I mean, to be fair, Final Fantasy can be bad for that too. Like they have the Fire, Faraga.
Yeah,
But then some of the Final Fantasies use a different system, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the Megaten one, like Bufu is the ice spell. So it's Bufu and then Mabufu and then Bufu Dine. Mabufu. I think anyway. Although I will say all the graphic design goes so hard. Like Kathleen pointed out that one specifically of like new bond, which is a funny way of saying social link.
Yeah, with like the veins.
Yeah, and although the bloody hands being like,
Yeah.
it's like the predator, like, yeah, you son of a bitch. But all the menus that they showed off in the trailer, just like it looks so cool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like Persona was sort of known for that as well,
Yeah.
right?
I wonder if you'll fight God. Like it seems like it's gonna be more of that. Which if you like that, then sick.
Yeah, there is that aspect where it's like, if it's not a Shin Megami Tensei game / Persona,
Then there's other things they can play around with.
but it's like, if it's not that, it's like slightly disappointing that they seem to be basically going down the same road.
Yeah.
It's like, why not do? It's like, if you're not going to make it a Shin Megami Tensei game, why not make it really different instead of just like, another RPG.
But the combat system looks very similar, which is good because the combat system in Megaten and Persona games rocks. The turn-based weakness exploitation system, where like if you hit an enemy with an attack that they're weak to, then you get an extra go. If you hit an enemy with an attack that they're strong or resistant to, then you lose a go, and they can do the same to you. It's very strategic. It's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
The
Oh boy, a whole bunch of mods in here. Hey everybody.
Hey. So yeah. Also, very importantly, you can pet the kitty cat.
You can pet the cat.
And some of the enemies are kind of weird little dudes.
Yeah. The weird little fish-like man doing in the screenshot that Paul got. He appears to be either named or is doing an attack named Fishy Fandango.
It could go either way. Like that could be a move that this guy does, or that could be just what this creature is named, the Fishy Fandango.
Yeah. Who knows?
I'm happy either way.
Yeah.
Or it could be both. Yeah, maybe the Fishy Fandango does the move called the Fishy Fandango. That's why he's called that.
Yep. And then the rest of the episode was basically talking about how E3 season is a thing. I literally heard Jacob talk about this the other day. He referred to it as E3 season. And I was like, E3's gone, bro. It's been dead for years. Let it go. And he's like, this is what people call it.
I love in the after show, like Kathleen sort of absentmindedly called it E3.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, which again, just like the X, formerly Twitter thing, probably really annoys Jeff Keighley. But anyway, this info, I remember when we were doing the rewatch of the Summer Games Fest or Summer Game Fest. There's only one game.
Game Fest?
Yeah. This info about how expensive positioning in the Game Fest had just sort of come out.
Yeah.
And which, of course, juxtaposed by Jeff Keighley being like, there's nothing that interesting going to be coming out.
Yeah.
Temper your expectations. It seemed kind of shitty.
I love, by the way, my favorite phrase from the stuff that Kathleen reported on in this story is the phrase private meeting cabana. $20,000 private meeting cabana. I love, someone was like, hold on. The private meeting cabana for $20,000 comes with food and table service and all that, and parking for 6 people. So that's like what, a 50% discount if you buy a private meeting cabana. The joke is that parking in Los Angeles is really expensive, but I thought that was funny.
Maybe this is just because, being from Canada or from like West Coast, my perception of cabana is like kind of an open air, a little like open air kind of gazebo on the beach.
Yeah, between 0 and 1 walls.
Yeah.
With like a tent and maybe some like flappy sheets on the sides and like a chaise. Yeah. That's in my head when I hear
I feel like that is probably not what this is.
No, I assume not. But yeah, private meeting cabana.
But yeah. And then Graham talked about all the different things that have been announced.
I did see, actually, real quick before we move on, before we move off of the costs, I did see like a breakdown and from someone who's much more of like an industry insider, who echoes a lot of what I had surmised, I think, in the previous after show, or maybe this was an offline chat that we were having, where if you look at, like Samsung or, like Monster Hunter, like sure, they're paying those prices for those things, right? But like Cuff Bust and Deer and Boy, right? Those companies are not paying $250,000 to get their minute of stuff. Right?
And the article that was sort of talking about, the article in Forbes, I think, mentioned that.
Yeah. Like it's very clear that there is a lot of...
There's like a prorated... Well, it's not the... Yeah, I mean, we don't really know.
No, we don't know, but I am under the assumption that there are games that we saw trailers for during the main presentation that are literally like someone met Jeff and was like, look at my thing. And Jeff was like, that's super cool. I want to put that in the show. And they did, like, he does curate this. Right.
And so there's there is that idea that it is, it's like, there's an implicit, like, be friends with Jeff. And like, if he doesn't like you, you don't get in the show. Like, and in some ways, the fact that it is like the summer game fest, like it's not E3, it's not stuff. Theoretically, there is actually no, Jeff Keighley doesn't pretend that it's some sort of open egalitarian thing.
No, yeah.
He doesn't say, he doesn't sort of explicitly say what the requirements are to get into it. Mm-hmm. But it does seem to be either, pay a bunch of money or, catch his eye. or presumably there's, I don't know if there's a standardized application for whatever financial relief. You can be like, I'm a little company.
In this video I was watching, they mentioned a tweet, and I wish I could remember who this was from, because it was like a dev who I'm familiar with their game, and they're very small dev, independent, who was basically like, like, I haven't really weighed into this before, but it is worth mentioning, like, even if you did pay to get into that as a small dev, why would you want to do that? Well, because if you're one of the X games in Summer Game Fest, every website is going to talk about you. And because they've talked about you at Summer Games Fest, they will keep up on you. Mm-hmm. They will keep following you. Like, it is, getting your game on the Game Awards or Summer Game Fest is actually a massive marketing boon to your game. And it's like, so yeah, I mean, you probably should pay to get into Summer Game Fest. And this is coming from someone who like is like a solo dev. I wish I could remember who this was, but just being part of the show makes it way more likely that general gaming public is going to come across the notion that your game exists.
Yeah, and I mean,
which is the hardest part.
It's interesting to sort of that idea, that perspective on it, that like being in the show has a lot of value outside of sort of being in the show. That like the value is larger than the whatever 30 seconds in front of 200,000 people or however many people are watching the stream. Mm-hmm. It's not just that. It's the probably even more valuable is everybody is covering the show so that it goes on and on doing all these different, it sort of spreads out to a much wider internet audience.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to get people to, see the idea that people have to see your ad specifically right there. Anyway, and then, I mean, obviously the Modern Major General, very, very, very well done.
Thank you very much.
Not actually like a lot of like news in there, mostly just talking about how there's a ton of stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
I did like getting in that Ubisoft's logo looks like a top-down coiled turd, which I think that's from Heather, isn't it? She's the one who first came out.
I think others online have observed that for a while, but it's something I do, gleefully remind people. But yeah, I think that the sort of the breakdown of sort of general reaction to the various shows is that Sony's was fine but not very exciting. The Ubisoft one was, I mean, the Star Wars game actually looks pretty sweet, and why can't they release other games? Mm-hmm. Like the fact that Prince of Persia game, they were like, hey,
maybe the people
we fixed it. It's going to be 2026.
Yeah, they put the Black Flag team on it.
Oh God, the
Black Flag, Skull and Bones.
Yeah, the Microsoft one was like, that's where all the games were hiding. But
yeah,
every single one of them was like, play day one on Game Pass. But none of them are exclusive. To like, none of them. Maybe one or two of them are, but they didn't talk about exclusives. They only talked about whether or not it's going to be on Game Pass as well.
Yeah, I don't think they're
like Doom is not exclusive to Game Pass.
Yeah, like I think
Gears and Fable, I think they own, but I don't think they own most of the ones they announced.
But even if they're like owned things, like all games on Game Pass, I think are just, you can just buy.
Yeah. So like the point is the Microsoft thing was cool looking for games, but sort of irrelevant for Microsoft specifically, I guess. Like, once again, Fable, Gears of War, maybe Perfect Dark because it's rare, but I think they'd be shooting themselves to not release that on other platforms. But it's a weird thing where like Sony's show was like, here are the games that you can play only on PS5, and Microsoft's show was like, here are dozens of games, and a couple of them you can only play on.
But
Xbox.
yeah, like I mean, Microsoft is not that. I mean, even Sony is making a big show of being more, bringing stuff to PC and stuff now.
Slowly, but yeah.
And Microsoft has sort of explicitly been like, yeah, we want to just open it up. We want to bring everything to everyone. Plus, they promised Call of Duty for everybody. So
they did make a big deal about that. And then the Summer Game Fest. I mean, we did a whole co-stream of it, and it was. It was.
If you want to see our
live reaction,
our live snarky thoughts about that, you can watch the stream from last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was sort of all we did, kind of in the show.
Yeah. And then there was the coming up talking
Banana.
about a game called Banana, and some people mentioned this in the chat or in the comments, and it's true. And I hope that we didn't. I did. I hope that the it's the coming up is a very short thing. I hope it didn't. We didn't make you think that what Banana was doing, i.e., being a clicker game that has monetization, was like a new innovative thing.
No.
It's not.
No, the newsworthy part is how high it is on Steam.
The fact that for whatever reason, people, although possibly a lot of bots, have glommed onto this particular game. It got up to number 5 on Steam, as in like most concurrent players.
Why?
And it's literally just a banana that you click on, and it counts the number of clicks. And every once in a while, you have a chance of, dropping a rare banana, and then you can then sell those bananas in the Steam marketplace, and other people can buy those bananas, and you can become rich.
Yeah.
Infinite money cheat. Maybe if it is money laundering, it is not a very efficient way of money. I feel like criminals who are money laundering have way better ways of money laundering than that. Yeah. The idea of like some, crooked accountant coming like to the mafia and being like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take your $100,000 and I'm going to open this game and I'm going to click on this banana a whole bunch of times. Then we're going to use your money to buy a bunch of silver bananas. And then we'll sell those silver bananas to other people. And then it's all nice and legal like.
I don't know how you're supposed to get your money back out of banana.
I don't know. Anyway. Actually, hey, speaking of bananas, here's some stories that we didn't cover in the episode. One of which being Nintendo has issued multiple DMCA things against Game Banana,
Right.
which is a modding site. This is so obviously this opens up the whole question of mods, copyright, blah blah blah.
Ooh, banana.
The exact reasoning for why, like, so these are not, obviously Nintendo has been pretty heavy going after emulators and ROMs and stuff historically, but also specifically lately. And I imagine this is kind of an extension of that, but with mods it's a little bit more questionable because theoretically that's something that somebody's made, but they often have assets in the mod that are copyright assets. Also, theoretically, you probably can't run the mod without either emulating or jailbreaking your device. So it's sort of associated with that stuff. Anyway, a Game Banana is a mod site. Wiki
Account made for Ant says, didn't Game Banana kindly ask its community to please, for the love of God, stop uploading Nintendo things? Or was that a different mod repository? I think that was this one.
It could be, yeah. Anyway, one guy has received over 40 DMCA notices just himself.
Wow.
This guy was apparently a very prolific mod thing.
You should stop.
Doing randomizers.
Randomizers rock, though.
Yeah, I know. Tears of the Kingdom randomizer, and they also made like a Lon Lon Ranch and Skyview Temple maps, custom maps.
Oh, fun.
Mods for Smash Brothers Ultimate. Anyway, there's this is sort of one of those things that, obviously as we know with DMCA stuff, the DMCA gets submitted, stuff gets taken down, then there's a whole process for like counter claims and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see what happens with it. Unfortunately, I'm not too optimistic for this kind of stuff, even though I think there's definitely all sorts of reasonable arguments for why it should be allowed. Whether those actually get whether it gets to a time when those can actually be heard is unlikely in these situations, unfortunately.
I have a story that I saw after we were done writing, so I didn't mention it to add to the list. But this is actually pretty huge news in the world of games journalism, relevant particularly to us. So IGN, owned by Ziff Davis. That's the name of the entertainment company. Maybe there's a person named Ziff Davis.
I don't think it's a guy.
I don't know.
Good old Ziff.
Yeah, has bought the Gamer Network brands. So IGN now owns Eurogamer, GamesIndustry.biz, Rock Paper Shotgun, and VG247.
Did that just happen?
Yeah, like about a week ago.
Oh.
And they own shares, and Gamer Network owns shares in Nintendo Life and Digital Foundry, and some other companies too. They've already shut down Dicebreaker, which was the Gamer Network's tabletop channel. They've like laid off all the staff of Dicebreaker, and it's like. What possible reason would IGN have to keep competing websites alive? Like, they bought Eurogamer and GamesIndustry.biz and Rock Paper Shotgun for how long? Like, why would IGN wish to see the ongoing fruitful continuance of companies that they're hypothetically in direct competition with?
Yeah, and I mean, even if they did stay around, theoretically, if they're all owned by the same, it's not like you're going to be getting like, well, the sort of different perspectives start to become less of a thing.
They've already fired some folks from Rock Paper Shotgun. God dang it!
That really sucks.
Yeah, it's
consolidation. I mean, although presumably why that was.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, Getter. Sorry, you know what's weird? You know who owned Gamer Network before IGN bought it? ReedPop. With whom we have an ongoing relationship with because they run Magicons. But I had no idea that they owned Gamer Network.
And it's one of those, unfortunately the journalism industry and particularly the games journalism industry is such that there's probably a good reason why IGN was able to grab that, relatively cheaply, I would guess. Those companies, it's a hard road to go to something. I'm when you said GamesIndustry.biz, I thought for a sec that you
meant game developer.
Is it game developer?
Formerly Gama Sutra.
Yeah.
And we use game developer a lot as a source.
I would have been it would have been very sad if that, because they're one of the websites that's very sort of industry focused and kind of has a completely different line than like GameDeveloper.biz doesn't like report on when new games come out. They report on when people are setting up unions and stuff, like important games industry stuff that isn't just the press releases coming out.
Oh, interesting. So Gamer Network had, do you know what event? A couple people are saying Gamer Network ran like a con event, and ReedPop bought them for that and got all the websites with it. So ReedPop probably
one of those awkward situations.
ReedPop probably didn't really care very much about the actual websites.
Makes some sense then to sell them off.
Yeah. Hey, welcome Raiders. We're talking about video game news to an extent. My favorite video games journalism moment of the week was Jason Schreier, basically the best out there to do it, posting about his deep dive into Rocksteady games, and particularly why Justice League killed the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
The sequel could be actually good too. Yeah.
Why that failed.
Right.
Talking to like 24.
It sounds like it was
current and former employees about it, and
it was just like a shit show from day one. It sounds like
and
interference from every level.
Someone responded to him on Twitter. He was like, here's this huge deep dive I've done with all this research and talking to employees who worked there. Here's all the information. And someone was like, oh, and all these words and nothing in there talking about how the game failed because of woke, because you're pandering to the SBI or whatever. And Jason Schreier responded, this article is about things that happened. Which I thought was a very clean.
It's like whether or not it was woke or not, whatever.
That was not a problem.
Or if it was a problem, then there were lots of other problems. Like, it's like that was not, it was, in deep trouble before that there was any kind of, it's not a good, I mean, I haven't played the game, but yeah.
Didn't look great.
It made me sad because, Rocksteady has made some great games.
Yeah. But it's impossible. This is something I was thinking of last night. It's odd in video games because there's always been, and rightly so, I think, a bit of pushback against giving individuals too much credit for a given video game. Like, certainly
the sort of auteur.
Yeah, certainly in the early days, like Sid Meier's Civilization. It's like, yeah, but there's a whole team at Firaxis, right? Yeah. And like you get like, how many like named, like big name, as you say, auteur creators are there, and it shouldn't be about them. It's it's the team, because there's hundreds of people, right, who make these games. But the problem with the team is that the team has a name, and the name stays, and the team changes.
Right.
And say this game is made by Rocksteady, that doesn't mean shit, because all the people that made the Arkham games, it's entirely possible that they've been shipped of Theseus out the door, and it's a whole different team. And we should know the names of these people so that we can go, oh, you're over here now. I want to see the games that you're making because you made a great game over here. But the people there are not making a good game now.
And I mean that
we should know more of these people's names.
And in some cases that has like explicitly happened. Infinity Ward.
Yeah. Respawn.
Yeah, Infinity Ward. Famously, was it Vince Zampella? I think was one of the guys.
Yeah, Jason West and Vince Zampella. Yeah, Jason West and Zampella. I don't remember whose first name goes with which.
They were the ones who were. Infinity Ward was originally the developer of Modern Warfare. Mm-hmm. Super popular. Blah blah blah. Got bought by whoever owns Modern Warfare. I guess it was EA.
Activision.
Right? Yeah. Activision, of course. Yeah. And then for contract negotiation reasons or whatever, they left, taking the majority of the company with them.
Yeah.
And formed Respawn. And so it was still like, hey, the new Modern Warfare game is made by Infinity Ward, the guys who made the really good, because there have been a couple of bad ones. And so they're like, the guys who made the really good one.
Because it used to be Infinity Ward, good Call of Duty. Treyarch, bad Call of Duty. But now they're all just sort of the same. So, sorry, just to plasterboard and a couple other people. I know there are credits in video games. That's not what I'm saying. Even though there's a lot of stuff about who actually gets credited in the game. There's for some reason, companies will aggressively not credit people who you'll have different rules about if you worked on a game for 2 years but you left a month before the game was released, you're not in the credits, right? And it's What? So like I'm not saying
We've talked about that on previous previous episodes too.
I know that credits exist. I'm saying that more should be done to talk about it doesn't make sense to say this game was made by one person, but we should try to highlight maybe more of the creative team. I think for all their other failings, I think Bungie does a great job of this. They just released this video talking about the forthcoming episodes, and they had a creative lead and an art lead and a narrative lead with their names visibly in the thing. And what's cool is the narrative lead, I was able to go, hey, look, it's Allison who used to work at Wizards of the Coast doing the same kind of thing. And I love the work that she did at Wizards. I bet she's doing great work over here at Bungie. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Right? So like that, I'm just saying talking more about a greater number of the creatives who are really the driving forces behind stuff. I'm not saying look at the credits list for every single game and remember every single person who worked on rollback netcode and then look for their name in a different credits thing. At a certain point, that falls apart. I'm just saying it's,
I feel like, the Japanese games are better at that. Like, I feel like I know the names of more Japanese game developers than English ones, which seems weird.
Yeah.
But...
Why are you so aggressively like questioning the notion of what I'm trying to talk about here? Actually, speaking of Japanese devs, there was a video. So the Metal Gear Delta, the remake of Snake Eater,
right?
There was a interview that David Hayter hosted, talking to the producer of it, and he was basically like, many people who worked on this game before are not here anymore. They are doing their own thing, and that's great for them. But hopefully we will carry their vision forward.
Yeah. And
just basically being like, yes, we know.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're like, we're going to do this because this is like the first game chronologically in the series.
Yeah. And maybe we'll do more if it does well.
So this will be like, not like a new series, but like a sort of retelling.
Mm-hmm. I find it funny also that in that interview, he was like, well, the first game I worked on was Police Knots, which was Kojima's first game. And he's like, and I worked with that team on like Portable Ops and the graphic novel. He's like talked about some other Metal Gear stuff that he worked on. Didn't mention that he was also one of the producers on Metal Gear Survive. Which was terrible, and again, I don't think it's his fault. I imagine that was a Konami decision. But if Konami's making good decisions, then sure, I'm interested to see where this goes.
I do feel like there's a bit of a because developers and just people in general don't tend to like stay with one company as much.
Yeah.
So you have situations where like, oh, hey, this guy, oh, he's the one who made this game that's like was made by a completely different company, but now he's over here.
Yeah, I would just like to see more of that in the media and the marketing. To answer the question that felt like it was in bad faith, I would like to see more of that in the media and the marketing for things rather than just like basically parroting a press release and going, the new game from this company, who made this game? Right, where it's like, sure, the company made that game, but did any of the people make that game?
Is there any reason to think that this game will be anything like the quality of that previous one?
Yeah.
So. I just was quickly looking it up because the talk of sort of auteur or sort of prominent developers. Made me think of the case of Patrice Désilets.
Oh, right, yes.
Which I wouldn't say super prominent. I found it a very interesting one. He was the guy. He worked for Ubisoft on one of the main people behind the Assassin's Creed series.
Yeah.
Obviously, incredibly successful series, and was sort of on the ground floor of that. Left. Ubisoft because he found that he wanted to have more creative control. Left Ubisoft in 2010 to work for THQ.
Oh, bad move.
THQ collapsed.
Retrospectively, bad move.
Yeah, THQ collapsed.
Yeah.
The company that THQ Montreal, was bought by Ubisoft. So he suddenly started working for Ubisoft again, and then subsequently was also fired again.
Yep.
Which is very unfortunate. I don't know what he's working on these days. Apparently, in 2016, he got the rights to 1666 Amsterdam back. I don't know what that game is.
It's the thing they were working on at THQ when it got bought, I think.
Ancestors, The Humankind Odyssey. Is it the last game?
Rockpusher, I agree. Sid Meier popping up in the Game Fest to talk about Civ 7. I mean, Paul and I said this at the time. I thought that it was like, I didn't necessarily think Sid Meier was dead. I just thought that he wasn't involved.
Yeah.
Right? I thought that it was like a Tom Clancy's scenario, like Ubisoft does, where they just sort of, it's like, oh, we're making a new civilization. Let's just paste Sid Meier's name at the top there. There we are. Great.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be fascinating to know what actual, what he's like, whether he is sort of more of like a figurehead or whether he is what kind of sort of day-to-day stuff, and what in terms of the sort of civilization series, whether it is sort of still, I guess, his vision or his the sort of the game that he wants to make. He's made lots of other kinds of simulation games, but I'd be curious to see if that's something else he's working on.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, if you want to go that route, Plasterboard, you can. What I was saying is that your first message was, what, do games not have credits anymore? And then your second one was, well, who the heck do you think should be doing this? Right? Like the way your questions were worded sounded like you thought I was stupid. So that's why I was like, hold on, let's talk about this. If you wanted to just talk about it, you could have said that. That's all I was saying.
Actually, speaking of simulation games, this is a story that I just saw. You know how games are often, these simulation games are creating real world things, and you sometimes sort of inadvertently also create real world problems, or sort of replicate real world problems into the virtual world. So City Skylines 2.
Oh yeah.
Which has had, it's had a bit of a rocky thing going on.
Yeah.
But this is not actually like related to whatever they've had some issues with their engines and stuff. This is not specifically like a related to their to their engine. This is more of a simulation thing. They've been having a lot of problems with because they simulate things down to a very specific degree. Like individual, people are going around doing their, they have full simulated lives. They go to work, they come back, they do whatever, and they have to pay for stuff.
Right.
And there's been a problem where a lot of people in people's City Skylines cities complain that the rent is too high.
Like the population in the game.
In the population in the game, I think that like people keep and people are like, I don't know what I can do in my city. Like I've been making lots more stuff for people to live in, but I keep getting these notifications that the rent is too high, and so they
it's too real.
So they are putting out an update now, which removes landlords. So instead of so what happens is the rental cost for a particular building is like the number of people or the number of like suites in the building divided by the property cost of the building.
So
And divided by all the families in the building.
So it's
And that's it.
socialized housing.
Yeah.
Great. Dope.
It's rather than like simulating, I guess before they were like simulating a landlord that takes money and doing all the things. So apparently that over time, and also over time, because it's wild. Like this,
I assume City Skylines already has UBI.
I guess, yeah. Well, it's wild, like the extent of the simulation. Because the other thing that can happen is that, because they have to pay, like the little simulated people have to pay their simulated rent, which they get from working at their simulated jobs. But there can be situations where they get to the end of the month or whatever, and they don't have enough simulated money from their simulated because they spent too much of their simulated money on simulated other things on simulated avocado toast or whatever.
Can the player control this? Like City Skylines is meant to be more about like layout and stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
can the player twist these? Like, can you tax these? Can you tax the plebs into the ground and like?
I don't know how
Because
much.
you used to be able to do that in SimCity,
Yeah,
right?
I don't
You
know.
could be like, I'm gonna jack the tax rate up, and people be like, we don't like you.
Yeah, you can twist knob. I don't think you can get down to like specific, like screw this guy in particular.
No. Oh, you can do that. Okay, great. Not specific guy, but you can adjust all the tax and stuff.
So what they've done is they've so another change that they've made is that if your simulated guy doesn't if their family or the person doesn't have the money to pay for the rent for that month, they will automatically like reduce their like luxury or whatever spending to the point they'll balance it out
Wow.
automatically. So I don't know. I just found that it's like, oops, we by mistake a socialism.
Wigger Guide says you can also control zoning and supply in a way any real city manager would bleed goats for, which is an amazing description.
Yeah, because like, yeah, you can
tax by education bracket rather than income. What?
Yeah,
I don't like that.
yeah,
That's weird.
but you can implement all sorts of weird ideas. Anyway,
City Skylines needs to teach its Sims how to budget. This Americat. You're spending how much on candles?
So, SteamDB, right?
Yes.
Which is a third-party website that accesses the Steam API and backend and stuff to record a bunch of really useful information about, what games are most popular and all that kind of stuff. And it's not made by Valve, but it is very. And I mean, we use it all the time for ChillPoint stuff because that's how we do that. That's how we can be like, this game, peaked at these many people and have graphs and all this stuff. It's super handy. Anyway, somebody did that for Epic. They called it Epic DB, as you might guess.
I bet Tim Sweeney fucking loves it.
Well, so I couldn't see in the articles I was looking at how they were implementing this, how they were actually accessing this information. But whatever they did, they kind of whoopsied into pulling information on a bunch of games that weren't actually supposed to be like visible in the Epic Store. Games that had been like prepped but not actually made visible.
Oh no.
Now,
no.
probably for exactly this reason, everything was apparently in like listed by code names. And so what we have now,
give me those code names.
what we have now is a big list of developers and then a bunch of code names for games that they have set up in the Epic Store that are not publicly available. And so people have been going through trying to like guess
Okay.
but whether the code names mean anything. Rockstar has a game called Semla, codenamed Semla, which has a file size of around 10 gigabytes. So
That's quite small for Rockstar.
they're thinking it might be Red Dead Redemption 1,
Oh,
like
yeah.
a remake of Red Dead Redemption 1 or
Sure.
a port of that.
That'd be a port for sure.
Yeah. Sega has a game called Axel, which they think could be Crazy Taxi or Streets of Rage.
Oh. Crazy Taxi.
Sega of America, they don't know what the games are, but there's 4 games that they found by Sega of America. Sorry, Sega of Europe, I should say. Porridge, Croquembouche, Keefly, and Curly Whirly are the code names for 4 games that they had.
Curly Whirly is a UK like pub confection.
Yeah.
Keefly.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Keefly. Yeah. Ubisoft has a game called Puff Pastry.
Are these all food?
No. But a lot of them are. Melodica is Ubisoft as well. Ellie Maker is Ubisoft. Warner Brothers has a game called Sundance, a game called Farkleberry.
Farkleberry.
Yeah, Saber Interactive has a game called Turok, which I guess we now know is probably because didn't they just
What could
no
that
no they
be?
didn't announce a Turok yet, but they likely
That could be anything.
they have a game called The Nightling, which they think is probably a Knights of the Old Republic thing. Rideshare
That's Crazy Taxi.
for this is Saber Interactive. Rideshare, Debussy, Docked,
Debussy?
Debussy, I guess.
Yes.
Debussy.
Debussy, yeah.
Debussy. Chimichanga, Poppy, Strawberry. Anyway, Paradox Interactive has a game called Project Batman, just to confuse things, which they don't have the license to.
I was going to say, I hope that that's something totally unrelated.
Anyway,
People are theorizing the Turok name is code name for a Jurassic Park game. That would be interesting. Exachix Kitsune suggests, are these game names or Destiny error codes?
Gearbox has Sakura, Zodiac, Blanc, and Bifrost A and Bifrost B. So anyway, there's like a huge number of those. Bandai Namco has a game called Balboa. Balboa.
As in Rocky Balboa.
Starburst, Dragonfly, Laser Lemon,
I want to play Laser Lemon.
and Inner Sloth has a game called Potassium,
Bananas.
which is hypothesized to be Among Us 2, which was canceled. So anyway, we don't know
Alright.
what the content. These aren't necessarily games that will come out. These are just like entries in the database that weren't supposed to be seen by anybody. This is not only is this whatever system this guy was using now closed, the Epic DB site is gone.
Oh.
Like it's not like this site is gone. Like we've shut down. Like the server's gone.
Wow.
It's 404ing.
Someone in chat said that an Epic spokesperson said that they've like patched whatever
Yeah.
thing allowed third-party things to see secrets.
Anyway,
Hey, don't pin this on me. I'm not pinning it on you.
the code names are very funny.
Mm-hmm.
And although I feel like companies are getting better because they're using code names. Well, it's not just they're using code names, but like I feel like in the past, and I mean I think Magic even did this too. They tried to be like cute with the code names,
Yeah.
and with the internet and modern sort of investigate people going into the source code and doing all this stuff, you can't people figure it out pretty damn quick if you try to be cute. And so now WotC uses a preset groups of right now they're on sports,
yeah,
and they just they have them preset before they're even setting up the actual set, so they're not related at all.
Yeah. Though I did this was from some years ago when they changed from blocks of 3 sets, big, small, small,
right,
to blocks of 2 sets, big, small. They were going along because it was 3 block sets and they all had thematically connected names,
right,
like hop, skip, and jump, snap, crackle, and pop, and then they had peanut butter and jelly. And we knew that code name, but closer to release is when they announced that they were changing from 3 set blocks to 2 set blocks. And so instead of peanut butter and jelly, they added donut, so that it was peanut butter and jelly donut.
It's quite cool.
Yeah.
I thought they'd just be peanut butter jelly becomes peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, no, they made it to peanut butter and jelly donut, which I thought was clever. Murders at Karlov Manor was Polo. That was
the other thing. The Mark Rosewater, one of his Drive to Work podcasts, he talked about code names because apparently because as with a lot of things at WotC, he's the one who does it, who comes up with the code names because he's the one who actually cared about it.
Right.
And his what they do. So right now they're using sports names, and they're in alphabetical order.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So the idea being that they wanted the code name to be able, you could at least tell which you can tell which game, which set is which, when you're talking which set came out before which set, and
archery
helps to keep things straight when you're talking internally about a thing. You're like, what the hell are we talking about?
So this is cool. Is archery, baseball, cricket, diving, equestrian, golf. But golf is Midnight Hunt, which became Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow. So Crimson Vow's nickname is Clubs, because it's golf clubs.
Right.
But then Kamigawa was hockey. Right. So they jumped there. They inserted golf clubs.
Nice.
And then hockey, ice skating, judo, kayaking, lacrosse, marathon epilogue, netball, off-roading, polo. You know what OTJ was? Quilting.
I think, yeah.
Rugby,
I'm pretty sure they had some trouble with some of the... Yeah, some of the letters, there's not a lot of options.
Tennis, ultimate, volleyball, wrestling, yachting, ziplining, and then they've moved on to cities. So after ziplining, it's Amsterdam, Berlin, and Cairo.
Yeah.
Neat.
Anyway. All right, what else we got going on here?
Yeah, no quoits. Actually, I really want to talk about. I just saw it in there. The Elden Ring thing. Can you pull up Polygon's numbers? So Elden Ring DLC. Who's ready for 18 inches of Mesmer? It's
Shadow of the Erd Tree.
It's coming up in a couple weeks now. In near the end of June 24th.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
I think so. And turns out.
Y'all need to get better.
Yeah, most people can't play it yet. The 20th. There we go. So yeah. So to access the DLC content, the sort of the portal for it is this cocoon essentially where Mikola is interred. It's like a coffin, but it looks like a big fuzzy cocoon. It's in Mohg's boss arena in the Mohgwyn Palace, the Blood Palace. To get to the DLC, you have to beat Mohg Lord of Blood. And to get to Mohg Lord of Blood, you have to at least beat Radahn. So how many people have done that on Steam?
Steam.
How many people have beat Moog?
On Steam, because of course you can tell on Steam because you get an achievement when you beat the different bosses, so it's a good way of measuring progress.
Yeah.
38.7% of people have the beating Moog achievement, which is not great.
No.
However, it's a lot better than Xbox players. 22.8% of Xbox players have the achievement for beating Moog.
Yeah, it's 38.7 on Steam. I think there's other ways to play it on PC. Maybe not. That's it for Steam. PS5 is 34.7%, but Xbox is really lagging behind by like a full 10%.
And then Radon is 54.5 on Steam, 46.6 on PlayStation, and 32.8 on Xbox. Now, in order to get to Moog, you would have to have beaten, like, the Moog people are by necessity a subset of the Radon people.
Yeah, you have to beat Radon to open the underground where Moog is.
So the trick, yeah, I mean, obviously these stats are, it's like everybody who's bought the game, right? So there's a reasonable percentage of people who just like have, whatever, no percent of the game.
Yeah.
Because
they just bought it and never played it.
For whatever reason, there's a really, there is a not small contingent of people who buy games for full retail price and don't play them.
There is a section, there's a subset of people, 77, this is on Steam, 77.8% of players have received the achievement for getting to the round table hold. Only 77% of players on Steam have made it to round table hold. It's not the first thing. To get to round table, you start the game, you go to a grace, you talk to Melina, you get your horse, and then you explore a bit. And after you've explored enough, I'm not sure exactly what the break point is, then you rest, and then she's like, hey, we need to go to the hub where all the NPCs are hanging out. You need to fight a boss. Yeah, you need to fight a major boss. Or I think, can't you just get to Caelid? Can't you run around Stormvale and still get to round table? Or just go to another zone? Yeah, I think you can go, I think it's beat a boss, or you can get to Caelid or the lakes, and then she takes you there. So it's wild to me that 22% of players on Steam haven't even done that. So yeah, that's people who are just, they got it and then didn't do anything. You played for 10 hours before getting the horse? I mean, that's impressive, but also how?
And also, and I mean, as the Marquette says, people, sometimes you receive the game through subscription or whatever. Maybe you haven't played it.
Yeah.
Obviously, no shame.
No, I don't. To be clear, I'm not shaming people. Yeah. I'm legitimately surprised that I don't know, just wandering around. Did you never sit at a grace? Honestly, that's very impressive to me.
Well, and the other thing, from what I haven't played this. From what I understand, Moog is a optional boss too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So you could go through the entire game and still not be actually have gotten Moog and do this thing, which is kind of funny. Now, of course, presumably the 22% of people who haven't gotten to Roundtable Hold are not the target audience for the DLC.
No.
So it'll be interesting to see what percentage of those of what percentage of people who haven't gotten to Moog would buy this DLC and then have to do the thing.
I'd say both Moogs are pretty out of the way. There's like 6 mandatory bosses. Yeah, you need 2 great runes to get
have you beaten Moog?
I have. Yeah. You need 2 great runes to get into Lanedell. And that can be, let's say, Godric and Renala would be the easiest 2. So you beat them, you get your 2 great runes to get into Lanedell, and then you beat Morgott, and then you have to beat Fire Giant.
Less God.
And then Godfrey, and the final boss. So yeah, I guess 6. I mean, there may be others that are like you have to fight on the way, but I don't think there are any that you can't just run away from. So yeah, I guess 6. So easy.
It's yeah.
Elden Ring sold 25 million copies. Okay, well consider then that there's probably a pretty big market for this.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of games, especially like
Malekith, right?
Especially open world style games like this, that when they are well done,
and Radagon too. Yeah.
How they integrate DLC is always kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like, is there just like, ooh, there's a new door there that wasn't there before, or is there like a new pathway opens, or is it the thing that I actually don't like, which is something that was there all the time, or something that was just like you can't go there now, now is open. I mean, somewhere where like you didn't think you could go and now you can is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like, I remember, was it Darksiders?
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch of DLC, these special like hunt things where there's like these mythical beasts that are really hard guys to fight. There's like 1 or 2 in each area. But how they implemented them is that before you buy, like if you don't have the DLC, there's this thing like running around in the like field where it is,
right,
that is almost transparent. It's like you can just see, it's just like got the vertices like slightly highlighted, so it's like this kind of weird wireframe, like you can just sort of see a shimmer of this like thing going around, and you can hear it like I spent so long like, this has got to be something really important. Running after this thing, trying to fight it in different ways. And I finally looked it up. It's like, oh, it's a thing. It'll become like corporeal if you buy the DLC.
That's so rude.
Yeah. Anyway,
in the case of Shadow of the Erd Tree, it had been presumed, because if you look at the map in Elden Ring, can you actually pull? We can do this, right?
Yeah.
You can pull up a map, the Elden Ring world map. We'll show you in a moment. There's a way to do this.
Wait. I want big. That's not big at all. I want a big map.
Try this one. That's the area. Yeah, that's the relevant zone. Perfect. So you see here that there's, let me actually grab your cursor for a second. So there are the divine towers where you restore great runes. Can they see this cursor?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So there's a divine tower here, and here, and here, and I think here, and here, and here, and here. I think I maybe labeled 1 or 2 more points.
And there's this like obvious
they're in a
chunk
circle,
of cloud in the middle.
Yeah, and there's this like very obvious cloudy part right in the middle of the map, and people were like, "Ha-ha, that's where the DLC will take place." And then they're like, and then Miyazaki's like, "Oh, no, you go underground and you touch a dead guy and you get transported to another dimension. Don't worry about it." And it's like,
so we still don't know what's in the big cloud.
No, it's nothing there. It's really funny that it's like, oh, okay.
So sometimes a cloud is just a cloud.
Yep. So the other dimension looks cool for what it's worth.
Yeah. Are you planning on getting it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I very much enjoyed Elden Ring. It's the first FromSoft game I've actually beaten.
I remember you like played it for a bit and then you took like a big break.
Mm-hmm. Well, because I
went back to it.
Mild to medium spoilers for a specific quest line in a 2-year-old game at this point. I buggered my game up by accident. I'd been doing all this stuff for Ronnie's quest line, just sort of incidentally. And then I heard about a cool thing you could go exploring, and I went exploring, and I met the Three Fingers, which, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's not good, and it makes your character go a little mad, and your leveling up lady friend is like, well, you're insane now, goodbye. You can still level up. You can undo that, though. Yes, Fire Whiskers, you can undo that. The way you undo that is that you have to finish Millicent's quest line. You have to cure Millicent of the Scarlet Rot, and you do that by taking the needle and beating Melania, and then you change the needle into a different thing, and then you give it to Millicent, and then Millicent's like, great, I'm cured. Also, here's this needle, and then you can use the needle to cure the madness, and then you're fine, and then you can finish that quest line, even though Melina never comes back to you, which annoyed me. So I had to kindle the fire myself, which was weird. Anyway, so the point is, I know none of this makes any sense if you haven't played the game, but the point is, I had to beat Melania, who's an optional boss, but I had to beat Melania.
And she's really tough.
It was very, very difficult. Did eventually do it thanks to player summons. Yeah, but I did. Have I told this story on stream before?
I'm pretty sure you've told it on like a stream.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know which stream it was, but
it was a lot of player summoning. Like, it took me a couple evenings because turns out very difficult. Did you ever get the Let Me Solo Her guy? No. But I did summon someone called Let Guts Solo Her, cosplaying as Guts from Berserk, because Miyazaki loves Berserk, and so there's the sword that's basically Guts' sword, and there's armor that's basically Guts' armor, and I was just like, you can summon two people, so I was just like, I would always just be like, summon. All right, let's go. And so I did that without realizing that the first person I summoned was Let Guts Solo Her. And the second person I summoned was someone named Mike Tyson, who was using the Iron Ball fists. Or like Tyke Myson or something like that. Anyway, so we get into the fight, and I'm like, it says Let Guts Solo Her, so I will. And he's putting on a clinic. Like, doesn't get hit, just like knows exactly the timing, like parries perfectly, just so great. Tyke Myson trundles up and is like, I'm going to help too, and starts attacking. And it's like, didn't you read the name? It said, Let Guts Solo. So as soon as this other guy starts fighting, Guts is just like, okay, you wanted the smoke. Go for it. It just stopped until Melania understandably dusted this other guy and then was like, okay, back to it again, and then started fighting. And we would have gotten away with it too, if not for network error.
Oh no!
Yeah, that didn't end up being when I finally got the win.
I guess summoning somebody else after you summon a guy who's like, let me solo her, is a little rude.
Yeah, I didn't mean to, but it was really funny. But it did eventually work.
I'm sure it happens, but I love the idea of to be like, let me solo, somebody's called like, let me solo her or whatever. And then it just goes in and then just gets like trashed. And it's like, why didn't you help?
Well, I like there was someone called, for a while there was like a parody one of like, let her solo me. Which is someone who they're like nude and they just walk in and sit down. They're just like, please.
Anyway,
so, yeah, it was. But yeah, did eventually beat it, and I'm very much looking forward to the DLC. So for those, by the way, at the beginning of that segment, I was like, ready for 18 inches of Mesmer. If you're not familiar with that joke, it's the Bandai US, I think it was, Twitter account was advertising the collector's edition that you can get a statuette of Mesmer in it, but for some reason they worded it of like, who's ready for 18 inches of Mesmer, and people were like, why did you say it like that? Why
like, why? Yeah,
I know.
A couple other little things. We talked about how we talk a lot about how just game releases. This game exists isn't really that interesting from a Checkpoint perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes there's interesting aspects. For one thing, there's Ubisoft is working on a new Monopoly game.
I saw the trailer for this.
Which, the obvious joke, I was like, well, clearly the joke is you climb to the top of the radio tower on the railroads to reveal the map, and then you liberate the rebel encampment on Park Place.
Right. Yes. I'm not going mad here, right? Like this is not a stupid, I guess you would call it a Mandela effect, but I'm going to go with this isn't just a bad memory thing that I'm inventing. The character's name did not used to be Mr. Monopoly, right? It used to be like Uncle Pennybags or something, didn't it? I thought it was Rich Uncle Pennybags.
I'm pretty sure that is actually one of the...
Because the ad copy here says, you might spot Mr. Monopoly.
Uncle Pennybags, Uncle Moneybags.
Yeah.
I believe that is actually one of the things that is often cited for Mandela effect things, is that the name of the Monopoly guy changed.
Yeah, because they changed it. not because we're in an alternate universe.
Or it's like the name of the Monopoly guy changed, but it was never the other thing. No, actually...
Milburn. His name is Milburn. Milburn Pennybags.
No, right. No, the thing that is the like he had a monocle or something. There's a thing about there's some Mandela effect thing about.
I don't remember him having a monocle.
About him.
I think maybe one of the community chest things. There was a thing maybe where he's holding one or his glasses are popping off because he's like, "Whoa, I owe how much money?" But I don't recall him ever having a monocle. But it says. Yeah, keep an eye out for Mr. Monopoly, who is hiding in plain... Yeah, there you go. You can see it there. Explore every nook and cranny of the city. What? Like,
to uncover hidden tokens. Keep an eye out for Mr. Monopoly, who may be hiding in plain sight.
Can we show the trailer? Because, like, I don't understand what they mean with, like... It's like a Milburn.
I got you!
What is the actual gameplay? I assume the gameplay is just Monopoly.
Sorry, that was so loud. But yeah, like how in this interface are you supposed to explore the city and find the hidden Monopoly name?
Oh right, I'm sorry. I usually have the audio muted on here. I apologize.
Oh, it was sending.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
Oh no, sorry everybody. So yeah, it's just the board game, but like the trailer or not the ad copy, improved graphics and gameplay that brings the tabletop experience to life. When players move around the board, they could admire the neighborhood, and watch as it transforms before their very eyes. Explore every nook and cranny of the city to uncover hidden tokens. How? But vigilant players beware. Keep an eye out for Mr. Monopoly, who may be hiding in plain sight. Is he an enemy?
The idea that the Mr. Monopoly or Pennybags or whatever his name is.
Are we supposed to be? Why are we supposed to beware of him?
Is like somehow like hiding behind things. I don't know. Anyway,
let me solo Milburn. Gonna punch him right in the community chest.
Microsoft is going to be coming out with diskless Xbox.
Yeah, it just looks like a monolith. I mean, more so than the Xbox Series consoles already do. Yeah. But like, it's just a featureless rectangular prism.
I mean, to be honest,
does that have the pictures?
Yeah. To be honest, I actually really thought that.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that.
Look at this thing.
Xbox, there already was a diskless one. Or maybe is it the S that was previously discless?
I think so, yeah.
And now the X, you can get an X as well?
Jordan brick. Yeah, get yourself an X brick. It's got a USB port and an on switch.
By the way, I love this. Estimated retail price of $449, $50 less than the MSRP of the current one, which is currently on sale for $50 less than its MSRP. So, whoops.
Fire Whiskers asks, are they selling this in Japan without an outpouring of Japanese laughter? Good question. Does, I assume, maybe you have the reference for this, is Japanese consumers prefer hard copy? Is that I believe that's the case?
I don't know. That might be a reference to the time when Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo, but
Also that, yeah.
and they were laughed out of the room.
Yeah. Yes, they do. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Not a lot of digital.
And slimmer controllers.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder. That's interesting that you would think in a place, the stereotype anyway is that space is a premium. That you wouldn't want to devote a lot of space to a bunch of discs, CD cases. Anyway,
I don't know. No one liked the Duke controller for the original Xbox? Ah, yes.
The ginormous.
Yet another in the long line of controllers that were always intended to be just a prototype.
Yeah.
Like the Boomerang.
Apparently, what I have learned from using controllers, and I don't know why that is the best thing to learn from, but apparently have quite small hands. Because I much prefer like the PlayStation size controller than the Xbox size controller.
Gap filler, yes. The Penny Arcade strip of the original Xbox controller is an all-time classic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just cuts to Gabe with a grizzly bear, saying, "I like this new controller better. I think it's smaller now."
Yeah. And then does it then cut to like the guy from Xbox with enormous hands, being like, "What? I don't get it."
I think so. Yeah.
All right, and finally,
Oh yeah.
Who do you think these little fellas are for? Look at them.
Had I not just looked over at the story you were clicking this through from, I would never have been able to guess.
Aren't these? What do you think? What do you think the name of the DLC that's adding these guys into a game is called?
Fable, Final Fantasy, Farmville. No, you're all in the F realm.
Yeah.
It's not a game that starts with F.
World of Warcraft is closer.
Closer, yeah. Black and White 3, no. Path of Exile, no. Path of Exile is probably the closest.
It is indeed Diablo 4. And the name of the DLC is Vessel of Hatred. Look at those eyes. Can't you see that Vessel of Hatred? I'm assuming the pets are not the Vessel of Hatred. They just happen to be also adding pets.
They're
in
just
that
also
DLC.
in the same DLC, yeah. Vessel of Hatred.
I love Diablo, especially Diablo 4, has the best names for everything. They really break out the thesaurus for like scary thing words. Anyway, you can. So there'll be a quest in the game that allows you to get the doggy, whose name? What is?
Wolferton.
No, not Wolferton.
Dang.
HLRITI. Hrati? Hrati.
Holrati? That is
It's
a
a weird
tough
name.
series of consonants put together like that.
You can call him Sir Barks a lot.
Okay, I'll do that. Woofrick. Nice. That's a good one too.
Or Alcor, the snow leopard, or Natalia, the tiger.
Blythe, that's not how it's spelled in this article. So
Yeah, I think it might
if
be
you're-
wrong in this article.
If you're correct, that makes, because Hralti is pronounceable. This is spelled it HLRATI, and which is like Halrati, but in a way that my mouth rejects.
I'm gonna put that one on Polygon.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Apparently, they're named after characters from D2.
so I believe you can unlock the doggy, the snow leopard and the tiger can be unlocked if you pre-purchase Vessel of Hatred, and then if you get the Ultimate Edition pre-order, you get all three.
How much is the Ultimate Edition?
How much is the Ultimate Edition? Survey says
Trying to find out right now.
Yeah.
Just looking at the roadmap or the grid of comparing
Diablo
different
4
editions.
Expansion Standard Ultimate Edition.
Log into Steam.
I'm old enough. Wait. No. Believe me, I'm old. You're not permitted to view this. What?
You're not allowed.
It's not allowing me to view it.
That's very funny.
I'm not old enough. What? Why are you like this? Anyway, apparently I'm a baby.
Speaking of expensive cosmetics, I know that just because I assume they're going to be cosmetic or expensive, $90 US on Xbox for Ultimate Edition. Woof. All right. There was an interview.
Yes, 119 Canadian.
All right.
So yeah, 90 bucks.
It was a. Was it a Q&A?
Do
was it
you also
Q&A?
get Diablo with that?
I don't think so. Probably not.
Like you have to have already bought Diablo? That's just the expansion? Wow.
Here we go. So from League of Legends, the Faker skin, the one that's really expensive.
Oh yeah. Has there been more consternation about that?
Not really, not any further consternation, just like a kind of a non-response from Riot about it. Whereas during a roundtable at Riot HQ in Santa Monica, I asked game director Pu Liu about Riot's future plans for rarer skins. When I state that some players were a bit upset over the $300 Ari skin, Liu responds, people were very upset, not just a little. I also think it's kind of justified, he continues, noting the MOBA is a 14-year-old product and players are used to everything living under a certain price point. We have to own those rare skins. These kind of products are designed for a very small percentage of our players to be able to purchase and flex. In terms of what role they're going to play in our portfolio of skin products moving forward, that's a weird sentence, it will continue to be a very small minority. I think last year we released over 130 or 140 skins, of which less than a handful were priced at that point. I would expect that to continue to be a minority rather than a majority. That being said, it's very important that we share with our players the situation that League of Legends is in. It's a game that's competitively oriented. We only sell cosmetics. We don't want anything that even infringes upon pay to win or pay for power. As a consequence of that, the vast majority of our players play League, watch esports, enjoy the content, cinematics, and music for $0. The majority of our revenue comes from a small single-digit percentage of players. It's just the reality that the hobbyist deep spenders are a disproportionate amount of business viability. What we really thought about is, on the morality side, are there players that are willing to spend $200 a month on their hobbies? God knows how much I've spent on Warhammer figures, he tells me. But it's really important that we capture that willingness and that ability to spend. What would look bad for us is if a lot of people that didn't have a history of spending on League all of a sudden buy the signature bundle. We'd be like, oh God, what have we done? But if it's like, oh, these people historically have spent money on skins, this is now giving them a new avenue, the esports ecosystem with a 30% revenue share, that's top line growth, not a profit. We'd rather venture into that space trying to get the people who are currently spending $0, whether that's because they're a student or they don't have the ability to do so. It continues, but anyway.
The rationalization of Our stuff is cheap in comparison to Warhammer miniatures. That is wild.
Yeah.
If that's your point of comparison, then yeah, sure. I do like them being just like, acknowledging whales basically.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I do appreciate that it's like, it's it's not for most people. It's just for the people that spend all the money.
Is. Yeah.
On the other hand, Jesus Christ, but like his
his
own comparison of like, boy, I've spent a lot on Warhammer figures, and I'm like, yeah, and then you have them.
Yeah.
Instead of,
it's like, look, if we didn't give something for them to buy, they'd be spending their money on something else stupid. So
we got to give them the stupid stuff too.
All right. Finally.
Yeah.
COD Blops.
Oh, right.
Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Which I think we talked about it before. I swear they were on like 3.
Same here. Same here.
But
Do they alternate now? Is it just that there is a Call of Duty every year, but every year it's like from a different
one in Modern Warfare? I think so. Yeah.
It's like 2021 is like a Black Ops, and 2022 is a Modern Warfare, and 2023 is like a Future Soldier Ghost Recon or whatever, and then now we're back to
yeah, and I think they've got different studios working on each one too.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. They cycle their crops. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer, and then one year, Sledgehammer gets to lay fallow so that its nutrients can recover.
Yeah. So they can
Welcome, Raiders.
fire their whole staff.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
as is the system.
Call of Duty Black Ops 6 coming out. Obviously, a lot of hype around it. People are very excited. Famously taking place in 1991. Yeah. But there's a couple of aspects of the things that people have noticed. For one thing, it will be always online.
Yeah, people don't love that.
Grumpy.
Justifiably.
Yeah.
Because that's annoying.
Will an internet connection be required to play Call of Duty Black Ops 6? This is the fact. To deliver the highest quality visuals while also reducing the game's overall storage space on your hard drive, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 will use texture streaming across all game modes. This means you must have a continuous internet connection to play any game mode, including campaign.
You hear about this shit?
If you're on console, campaign can be played without a premium subscription to this Game Pass. So they're not saying that you have to be like subscribed, but you have to be online because the game is so big that they can't fit it onto your computer, basically.
So you'll be downloading the textures each time you load up a map? Apparently, yeah. That's wild. That's preposterous.
So I don't know if that's like
bullshit.
Well, or I mean, if that's bullshit, and I don't know if this is like, I'm not sure if this is the first time games have done it.
I've never heard of this before.
Because it does seem like
I've never heard of texture streaming.
Because there's often a thing where it's like older game, they turn off the servers, which means you can't play online anymore. Yeah. But you can still play the single player game. Mm-hmm. Or worst case scenario, or not worst case scenario, but or the other thing is sometimes there's a lot of games now that are always online, even for the single player because of stupid reasons. But at a certain point, when they are turning off the servers, they'll also update the game so that it can be played offline. If this is indeed how it works, it seems like there's like it can't work offline unless they would have to do something to either make the textures, change it so the textures could be stored locally, or change it so it could so it like works with low res textures or something.
Yeah, why can't there be an option to just be like, I would actually like to download all the textures, please?
Yeah. But yeah, texture streaming is something that is used a lot, but usually that's compensating for like the speed of the hard drive.
Yeah.
by streaming texture or like the spinning disc. They have special things
Yeah.
to deal with that. The idea that it's coming over the internet, so like if you have, yeah, what that will entail in terms of like weird pop in if you've got a slow internet connection seems like it could be weird. Anyway, the other aspect is, and again, apologize, but I don't know if this is something that has been a matter of course previously, but something they have said is going back to the Modern Warfare brackets 2019, which is the remake of Modern
Right.
Warfare.
Of course.
If you have been banned from any Call of Duty game starting at Modern Warfare,
Right.
you are banned from this game.
Right.
Your ban carries over, which I don't think previously happened.
I think that's a new one.
You apparently will still be able to play single player, so your texture streaming isn't banned. But yeah, you will not be able to play online. You'll not be able to play this new game online if you were banned from the old game, which is an interesting idea. That like your ban actually carries over. I don't know if that's a new. I don't know if any games have done that before.
What is happening with our follower count?
It's confused. I don't know, something.
Huh.
It's probably just it's probably got some like something queued up or something.
Huh. Weird. Are we getting MTV CDM says, are we getting bot followed? Maybe.
If I was on the computer that this was running on, I'd like refresh that source to see like if it can there if there are a bunch of follows, it can sort of queue things up sometimes and things. I don't know.
Huh.
Anyway, so who knows whether that will be a thing? I'm pretty excited to just because this is the first Call of Duty that's going to be coming out since the purchase of Activision Blizzard from Microsoft, and all the stuff that we've been talking about for the last like 2 years about how Call of Duty is the only thing that anyone cares about. And that Microsoft has promised Call of Duty is going to come out at the same quality level to every single system. So it'll be interesting to see how that actually happens.
Yep.
How they what they intend to do with that. So we'll see.
Sorry, fresh new announcement. I know that you said last thing. As of 2 hours ago, Yacht Club Games has announced a new Shovel Knight game.
A new like mainline Shovel Knight game, or like another, because they've done lots of Shovel Knight spin-offs.
A 3D version.
Oh.
Yacht Club Games announced a new mainline game in the series, and the studio says this new game will, quote, launch Shovel Knight into a new dimension of gaming.
Well, that could mean anything.
That's it.
Wow.
Sick.
I was thinking about I think the other day, I think Shovel Knight may be the most the character that has shown up in most other people's games for a while.
I think
anyway.
so, yeah.
Like especially like, slightly indie game. If there was any unlockable characters or Easter eggs in it, Shovel Knight would be in there somewhere.
Yeah. Shovel Knight's great.
But yeah, I think I saw that the like Shovel Knight treasure trove was like on sale the other day.
Oh, sweet.
Because anyway, that's a good deal.
Alrighty.
Anything
else?
I think that is all the news. We hopefully things will kind of the glut of game announcements kind of fills the, I don't know, what the metaphor is here, but fills the trough, and doesn't let a lot of the more what I would call more interesting news through sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of some of the more interesting stuff kind of gets dropped or delayed
Yeah.
release from some places. So I'm hoping that hopefully we'll have some news next week that isn't this game is announced. But anyway, we will find out. But in the meantime, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for subscribing if you are subscribing or following or whatever you're doing that way. If you haven't seen the episode of ChillPoint that we've been talking about this whole time, you should probably do that. If you're watching this on YouTube, in fact, it's probably like somewhere near this video, like in the sidebar or something.
It's got me going.
Yeah.
With a big thing that says E3 right here.
But in any case, thank you for joining us. And we will see all y'all later. Goodbye.